This is just a really quick lesson on how I personally play the jazz standard Misty by Earl Garner. Now if you hear 100 different people playing it, you'll hear 100 different ways of it being played. So I certainly don't necessarily want you to become a clone of how I'm playing, but if you can take what I'm playing, add your own touches to it, make it your own, then you can be really great at playing it. Okay, so here is what I do. Now if you know the song, you'll know there's another part to it, so that means that there's another part coming of this video series. But what I want to do is kind of show you what I'm doing here. I don't want to make it so that you play it exactly like I do. You can if you want, but ultimately you want to be able to play it the way that you like it, okay? So I recommend you listen to lots of different versions and get your own. Now I'm playing it in the key of G. A lot of other people will play it in the key of B flat, but I like how it sounds in G, and the bonus is as well that it's a little bit easier to play there. So that's all good, okay? So what I'll do is I'll show you kind of what I'm doing in the right hand first of all. I'll go quickly through it because I'm pretty sure that if you're at this stage where you're ready to look at this video, you won't necessarily need a step-by-step run through of everything I'm doing. So I'm starting off on octaves. Sometimes I play up here, sometimes I play down here, but I'm going D, B, F sharp. So, or depends how I'm feeling on the day, which one I use. Okay, so let's say we do this one for now. Okay, so that nice little run is a G major 7, and the way that I'm doing that is I'm getting the G chord in the left hand, so that's G, B and D, and if you try and use your pinky, middle finger and thumb, that'll be really good. And then what I'm doing is I'm getting an octave, two octave notes, F sharp with the thumb and then the pinky, okay, so. And all I'm doing is after I've done that, I'm repeating the same pattern. So make sure that whenever you go up to the chord, that you're doing it on the same octave that you had. Okay, so in the last video what you saw was how to play and I think the last point that I was making, and I think my battery kind of died, but the last point that I was making was that whenever you're doing, when you go up to the same octave that you did this on, to go to your next part. So whenever you're practicing, it sounds like this. And you can go up as far as you want, as many octaves as you have. So, okay, so we'll go so far. Okay, now the way I tend to play this afterwards is so the sort of idea that I'm doing there is the sort of melody just and the way I'm just kind of playing that around with that. You can play it in your own sort of way. You don't have to play it exactly the same as how I'm doing it, but D, E, F, E, going back and forth between this and E flat. D, B, G, E. So it's the E that'll land on there. Okay. And you can kind of alter how you play it depending on how you feel. This is the kind of music that you're allowed to do that with. There's no right or wrong way to play it. That's why I say that this is my interpretation of the song. Yours could have similar elements, but it could have other parts that you like better. Okay, so... So I'll show you what I did there. Whilst I was playing on the left hand, I was going 2-5-1 progression, D minor 7. You can voice it any way you want, but how I tend to do it whenever I'm kind of pushed for time in a song like this is D with the little finger, C with the thumb on the left hand. And then you can do the same thing for G. G on the little finger and F on the thumb. So you can kind of go. And then whenever I play this note, we're into the C chord. But the way that I play it to make it sound really nice is a C major 7, which is a C chord with a B note added. Okay. Sometimes I just forget about the middle note, the E there, and so I just play C and G. And then on the right hand, I voice the full C major 7 chord. However, I'm not playing the B up here, I'm playing the B down here so that it sounds nice and warm. And then you can do the same thing that you did with the G major 7 thing earlier. You can do your... So whenever you practice that, practice it the same way that you practiced the G major 7 thing earlier, nice and slowly, and then speeding up as you get better at it and as you get more confident with it. So what we got so far is... Okay, then we got... The next part, so I'm going for a C chord, and it's a C arpeggio, so C, E, G, C, but I'm actually going to be voicing that ninth up there instead of C, okay, so. Nice thing to practice anyway, so. But whenever I hit that note up there, the D, what I'm hitting down here is E flat and G. Gives you C minor dominant ninth, C minor 9. What I'm doing is I'm playing that D note up there with these two notes, E flat and G, as a chord. However, to give it that real signature sort of misty, sort of jazzy, smooth sort of feel to it, you need that F note in the left hand, which is the real kicker. It's the part that makes the song really nice. It's that sort of drop dead chord, drop dead gorgeous chord. And what I'm doing on the voice up here is I'm voicing this melody. So D, D, C, D, C. So it's... And in the left hand I'm just doing a rhythm that's sort of... Okay, so you don't need to worry too much about that. Do whatever you feel like on the left hand. as long as it has this sound, nobody's going to complain about the technicalities of it. Okay, so the way it ends is okay. So first I'll talk about what I'm doing on the left hand here, because it sounds reasonably difficult, but it's actually super simple. If you've played stride before, then you'll know how to do this. So it's G chord, E minor chord, A minor chord, D chord. It helps if you're playing the pedal, and just make sure that you release the pedal every time you change to a new chord. If you do that, then it'll sound really, really good. Okay, so you've got whenever we're playing the note, the root note, and then the actual chord, that is the easiest way of playing stride piano. There are a lot more complicated ways of doing it, but let's not overcomplicate it, okay? So, and there's different octaves you can play on and stuff like that. It's up to you to figure out what you like the sound of best. So what I'm doing on the right hand, whenever I'm doing that on the left hand, is that's the first part, and it's the same thing, basically just moved around a little bit. So I'm playing G and B, then holding that down, playing C, D. So I'm kind of walking this up to make it into a full G chord. Then doing the same thing for the E minor, so E and G, then A, B, so I make it into the full chord. So it's kind of going, so I'm going. After that, I'm going the first part of an A minor chord, so I'm doing A and C, and then I'm going. So I'm going. I'm doing the same thing here that I did for the G and the E minor, only for D this time. So I'm going D and F sharp, G, A, and then I'm going to voice a really nice sort of jazzy chord. I'm just going to call it a D altered for now. Okay, so we got C, D sharp or E flat, F sharp, G flat, and B. Okay, it can also look a bit like a sort of C diminished chord, but I've got that B note in there as well. And I've got a D note in the bass. Played by itself, it sounds horrible, but played in context with the song, it sounds really, really good. Okay, so we got. That's your tension, and then you end with the release, G chord. So you can have any kind of G chord you want, just standard G chord, or G major 7 with the F sharp in there, or G6, G dominant 13, or whatever, you know. The sky's the limit. So if you know lots of different chords, then there's a lot of finality sounding kind of chords that you can throw in there. But for now, I'll just play the G. Maybe throw in a little bit of G major 7 there with the F sharp as well. So. Okay, and then you can kind of, if you want to go on to play the melody again, you can kind of do like an E7 down there, A minor 7, D. hopefully you can find your own way of doing it. If you like any of the things that I've done, incorporate those. If you feel that there's some stuff that you'd like to do, to incorporate your own sort of little version in there as well, I'd totally love to see it. And hey, I might update how I do things, you know, if you've got some stuff that really I have to put into mine. Okay, so hopefully you've enjoyed that. Let me know if you've got any difficulties, any queries, any comments, and happy playing. Thank you.